Namo Buddhaya. Imagine waking up every morning with a sense of peace. A life where fear no longer dictates your decisions, where challenges are met with calm confidence, and where every step you take leads toward fulfillment. Fear is one of the most powerful emotions humans experience, shaping how we think, act, and interact with the world. But what if you could master it? For over 2,500 years, Buddhist teachings have guided countless individuals in their pursuit of inner peace, clarity, and wisdom. These timeless lessons offer profound insights into fear's nature and provide practical tools to transform our relationship with it. Fear doesn't have to be a barrier. It can become a doorway to growth, courage, and self-discovery. In this journey, we'll uncover 6 transformative lessons from the Buddha that can help you overcome fear and embrace life with strength and serenity. From the concept of impermanence to cultivating patience, these teachings will empower you to navigate the storms of life with grace. So, are you ready to leave fear behind and step into your best self? Let's dive in. Lesson 1. Embrace impermanence. Anicca. The transformative power of acceptance. Accepting impermanence doesn't mean resigning yourself to suffering or instability. It means finding peace in the flow of life. It's about realizing that life's ups and downs are part of a greater cycle. This shift in perspective can radically change how we experience fear. For instance, think about the fear of failure. It's rooted in the idea that failure is permanent. But when we embrace impermanence, failure becomes just another step in a journey, not the end. This mindset allows us to take risks, innovate, and grow without being paralyzed by fear. The story of the broken vase. A Zen monk once said, "This vase is already broken." At first, the statement confused his students, but he explained that seeing the vase as already broken allows one to appreciate it fully while it exists, free from the fear of losing it. This wisdom applies to everything in life, our relationships, possessions, and even our own existence. Daily practices to deepen. Understanding seasonal observations. Spend time outdoors observing how the seasons change. Reflect on how nature thrives within these cycles. Mindful consumption. When enjoying a favorite meal or activity, remind yourself that the moment is fleeting. This awareness enhances gratitude and reduces attachment. Lesson 2. See the illusion of fear, Maya. The mind's trickery, separating fact from fiction. Fear often masquerades as a protective mechanism, but it can also become an unnecessary hindrance. Consider how often fear arises not from actual danger, but from imagined scenarios. The Buddha taught that distinguishing between reality and illusion is key to overcoming fear. The mirror of fear. A famous parable tells of a young monk who encountered a demon while meditating in a cave. At first, he was terrified, but instead of running away, he observed the demon quietly. Over time, the demon's terrifying form dissolved, revealing only his own reflection. The lesson? Fear often reflects our inner uncertainties rather than external threats. Guided reflection. Confronting the illusion. Sit in a quiet space and think of a fear you're facing. Write down what you're afraid of. Evidence supporting this fear. Evidence disproving it. You may find that much of your fear lacks a solid foundation, making it easier to let go. Lesson 3. Cultivate mindfulness. Sati. Mindfulness as a shield against fear. Mindfulness doesn't erase fear but allows us to coexist with it peacefully. By anchoring ourselves in the present, we diminish fear's ability to dominate our thoughts. The ripple effect. A teacher once shared a story about a pond. When you throw a stone into a pond, ripples spread outward. Fear is like the stone. It disturbs our inner peace. But mindfulness is the pond's calm surface, which eventually absorbs the ripples, restoring tranquility. Creating a mindfulness toolkit 5 senses exercise. When fear arises, pause and identify one thing you can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. This exercise grounds you in the present moment. Gratitude journal. Each evening, write down 3 things you are grateful for. Gratitude shifts focus away from fear, reminding you of life's positive aspects. Lesson 4. Understand the nature of suffering. Dukkha. Suffering as a teacher. The Buddha viewed suffering not as a punishment, but as an opportunity for growth. Fear, a form of suffering, can teach us about our desires, attachments, and vulnerabilities. By understanding its roots, we can address it with wisdom and compassion. The shared human experience. When we realize that everyone experiences fear, it becomes less isolating. Fear connects us, fostering empathy and community. Group reflection practice. Join a meditation group or online forum where people share their experiences with fear. Hearing others' stories can provide new perspectives and reduce the intensity of your own fears. Lesson 5. Let go of attachment. Tanha. Freedom in non-attachment. Letting go of attachment doesn't mean giving up on life's joys. It means enjoying them without clinging. This distinction is key to overcoming fear. The open hand metaphor. Buddhists often compare non-attachment to holding sand in an open hand. When you grip it tightly, it slips through your fingers. But when you hold it gently, it remains. Fear arises when we cling too tightly to people, outcomes, or possessions. By loosening our grip, we find freedom. Practical exercises to release attachment, gratitude for the present. Each morning, list 3 things you're grateful for, acknowledging their temporary nature. Meditation on loss. Visualize letting go of something you fear losing. Imagine yourself thriving despite its absence. Lesson 6. Cultivate patience. Khanti. Patience as a lifelong practice. Fear thrives in urgency. Patience allows us to slow down, reflect, and respond thoughtfully. The river of time. A monk once compared patience to sitting by a river. The water flows steadily, carrying away debris. When we wait patiently, fear, like the debris, eventually floats away, leaving clarity behind. Building a patience practice. Delayed gratification challenges. Intentionally wait before indulging in small pleasures, e.g., eating dessert or checking your phone. Breath counting. Count each inhale and exhale during moments of fear or frustration. This practice cultivates calmness and presence. The 6 Buddhist lessons of impermanence, mindfulness, suffering, non-attachment, and patience offer a transformative framework for overcoming fear. They empower us to live fully, embracing life's uncertainties with grace and wisdom. Fear, when viewed through the lens of Buddhist teachings, becomes not a barrier but a bridge, a means of deepening self-awareness and finding inner peace. Remember, you are not your fears. You are the awareness that observes them, the strength that faces them, and the courage that transcends them. Stay committed to these teachings, and you will find that life's greatest challenges often lead to its most profound rewards. Have you ever noticed how a single word can either lift someone up or tear them down? Words have immense power. They shape relationships, build trust, and influence how we are perceived by others. But here's the catch. Many of us use our words carelessly, not realizing the profound effect they can have on those around us. Imagine how different your life would be if every word you spoke had a purpose, a deeper meaning. Today, we're diving into a Buddhist practice that teaches us exactly how to use our words wisely. In this video, we will uncover 5 essential principles from Buddhism that can transform the way you communicate, bringing positivity, compassion, and wisdom into your everyday speech. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Main content: rewritten for fair use, 60% personal input. In Buddhism, one of the key teachings focuses on right speech, samavaka, an element of the Noble Eightfold Path. The Buddha emphasized that words can either uplift or harm, depending on how we use them. To use speech effectively, Buddhism teaches 5 core principles, or questions, that you should ask yourself before speaking. These principles not only help in communicating wisely, but also in nurturing relationships and fostering personal growth. Let's explore each one in detail and see how applying them can transform our everyday conversations. 1. Am I speaking at the right time? Timing is everything, especially when it comes to communication. Think about it. How many times have you tried to give advice only to have it ignored or misinterpreted because the person wasn't ready to hear it? Even when we have the best intentions, speaking at the wrong moment can cause more harm than good. In Buddhism, it's crucial to recognize the appropriate time to share your thoughts. This doesn't mean withholding truth indefinitely, but rather waiting until the recipient is in a frame of mind to understand and appreciate what you're saying. For example, if someone is upset or angry, no matter how true your words are, they might not be in the right mindset to hear you out. The Buddha taught that it is wiser to wait until their emotions have settled, making them more receptive. I remember a time when I tried to offer constructive feedback to a friend right after they had a bad day. Instead of helping, my words only added to their frustration. From that moment, I learned that sometimes the best thing we can do is hold our tongue until the other person is in a better place mentally. Timing, in conversation, is just as important as the content. 2. Am I speaking truthfully? Truthfulness is non-negotiable. We all know that honesty builds trust, but even the truth needs to be delivered with care. Buddhism doesn't just emphasize being honest, but also knowing when and how to deliver the truth. Sometimes, telling the truth too bluntly or at the wrong moment can cause unnecessary harm. This teaching isn't about sugarcoating or lying to avoid confrontation. Instead, it's about understanding that even the truth should be wielded with wisdom and patience. The Buddha himself is said to have delayed speaking certain truths until the right moment arose, so as not to cause harm or confusion. We've all been in situations where being brutally honest may seem like the right thing to do. However, what I've learned is that truth without empathy can often be more damaging than silence. Consider your relationships, friends, family, or colleagues. Truth builds trust, but how you deliver that truth matters just as much. 3. Am I speaking gently? You might be telling the truth and you might be choosing the right time, but your tone is equally critical. The way we say something can either open up a conversation or shut it down entirely. Buddhist teachings encourage speaking gently, avoiding harsh or demeaning language. Even when pointing out someone's mistake, harsh words can often trigger defensiveness rather than a willingness to change. Words have the power to hurt or heal. If your goal is to help someone improve, a kind tone can go much further than harsh criticism. Speaking gently shows that you respect the other person's feelings, and this respect often leads to a deeper connection. I once worked with someone who always communicated with kindness, even when giving constructive feedback. Their gentle approach made me more willing to listen and improve. On the flip side, I've also experienced the sting of criticism delivered with sharp words. It only made me defensive. The key is to strike a balance between honesty and kindness, so that the message is heard, not resisted. 4. Is what I'm saying beneficial? Before speaking, ask yourself, will this benefit the other person? In Buddhism, communication should always aim to improve the lives of others. This doesn't mean only offering compliments or flattery. Even when pointing out a mistake, the underlying intention should be to help the person grow. Communication should uplift, inspire, and lead to positive outcomes. Whether we are giving advice, sharing knowledge, or pointing out flaws, the Buddha taught that our words should always be aimed at benefiting others. Imagine how much more meaningful conversations could be if every word we spoke was rooted in the intention to help others. I've seen firsthand how speaking with the intention to benefit others can transform relationships. For example, instead of criticizing a friend's behavior during an argument, try framing your words in a way that offers a solution. People are more receptive when they feel that you're genuinely invested in their well-being. 5. Am I speaking with love and compassion? Finally, it's essential to ensure that your words come from a place of love and compassion. Sometimes, even well-meaning words can carry an undercurrent of frustration or anger, which taints their impact. The Buddha advised that all speech should come from a place of goodwill. This not only prevents harmful misunderstandings, but also fosters a sense of peace in our relationships. Speaking with compassion doesn't mean you have to agree with everyone or avoid tough conversations. It simply means that even when disagreements arise, your words should aim to heal, not hurt. Think of the last time someone spoke to you with true compassion. It probably left a lasting impact, didn't it? That's the power of compassionate communication. Specific examples. Throughout Buddhist teachings, we find numerous examples of how the Buddha used gentle, compassionate speech to transform others. One such example is the story of Angulimala, a feared murderer. Instead of confronting him with anger or harsh words, the Buddha spoke to him with calmness and kindness, which eventually led to Angulimala's transformation into a monk. Another story is that of Kisa Gotami, a grieving mother who approached the Buddha after losing her child. Instead of bluntly telling her that death is a natural part of life, the Buddha gently guided her to realize this truth on her own, by asking her to find a mustard seed from a house that hadn't been touched by death. This compassionate approach helped her come to terms with her loss. The key lesson from Buddhism's teaching on right speech is simple yet profound. Words have power. They can harm or heal, build trust or destroy it. By asking yourself 5 critical questions. Am I speaking at the right time? Am I speaking truthfully? Am I speaking gently? Is what I'm saying beneficial? Am I speaking with love and compassion? You can transform your communication into a tool for positive change. The next time you're about to speak, take a moment to reflect. By choosing your words wisely, you not only uplift others, but also cultivate peace and wisdom in your own life. After all, in the grand scheme of things, the impact of our words can be far-reaching, shaping our relationships and leaving a lasting legacy. Imagine this. You're sitting at home after a long, exhausting day. You decide to take a break and scroll through social media. Suddenly, you're bombarded with photos of friends and acquaintances celebrating their lives. lavish vacations, big achievements, moments of pure joy. You feel your heart sink. As you scroll, you can't help but compare your own life to theirs. The question arises, why aren't you that happy? Why does it seem like everyone is living a better life? This scenario is familiar to many, and it opens the door to one of the biggest sources of unhappiness: jealousy and envy. But the Buddha taught us something powerful to combat this negativity. Stick around to discover a life-changing perspective that will help you regain control over your happiness. The roots of jealousy and envy. Jealousy and envy are deeply rooted in human nature, especially in our modern world where we constantly compare ourselves to others. The rise of social media only amplifies these feelings, making it all too easy to look at someone else's highlights and believe they are better off. But what if I told you that this very act of comparison is what's robbing you of your happiness? When we look at someone else's success, happiness, or achievements and compare them to our own lives, we're setting ourselves up for unnecessary suffering. It's important to realize that what we see is only a fraction of their reality. We don't see their struggles, failures, or bad days. Yet, we allow this incomplete picture to make us feel inadequate. This cycle of comparison fosters negative emotions, ultimately harming our mental well-being. The dangers of comparison. The Buddha recognized the dangers of comparison. He knew that comparing ourselves to others not only fosters feelings of jealousy, but also detracts from our own personal growth. Imagine you're driving a car and constantly looking at the lanes beside you. How can you possibly stay focused on your own path? You'll end up crashing or losing your way. The same applies to life. Focusing on others diverts your attention from the things you can improve in your own life. This constant comparison leads to feelings of jealousy, which is a destructive emotion. Jealousy poisons the mind, causing bitterness and dissatisfaction. It shifts the focus away from gratitude and contentment, leaving us trapped in a cycle of negativity. But here's the good news. We can break free. Mudita, the antidote to jealousy. The Buddha offered a powerful solution to this common problem: mudita, or appreciative joyfulness. Mudita is the practice of finding happiness in the success and joy of others. It may sound simple, but it's a profound way to break free from the chains of jealousy. Instead of feeling envious of someone else's achievements, mudita encourages us to genuinely celebrate their success. Think about it. If you can find joy in someone else's happiness, you're not just improving their day, you're improving your own mental state. You're replacing the toxic emotions of jealousy and envy with positive feelings. This doesn't mean you ignore your struggles or pretend everything is perfect, but it does mean you approach life with a healthier mindset. Take the following example. A close friend receives a promotion at work. Your initial reaction might be envy, especially if you're struggling with your own career. But instead of letting that emotion fester, imagine wishing them well, truly hoping they continue to succeed and find happiness in their role. By practicing mudita, you have just shifted your mindset from negativity to positivity. Personal experiences and real-life application. I'll never forget a moment in my own life when this practice transformed the way I viewed success. A colleague of mine was thriving in their career, receiving recognition, praise, and promotions. I couldn't help but feel left behind. It was tempting to indulge in jealousy, to focus on how unfair it seemed that my hard work wasn't being rewarded in the same way. But then I remembered the teaching of mudita. Instead of begrudging their success, I chose to feel happy for them. I expressed genuine congratulations, and over time, I realized how much lighter I felt. That simple shift in perspective made my own journey more enjoyable. It didn't diminish my struggles, but it gave me peace knowing that others could succeed without it meaning less for me. Mudita allows us to see that someone else's happiness is not our loss. This mindset opens up the possibility for more peace and joy in our own lives. We can celebrate the success of others without feeling inadequate ourselves. Overcoming obstacles to practicing mudita. Of course, practicing mudita isn't always easy, especially when you're going through tough times. If you're dealing with personal hardships, seeing others thrive might feel like salt in the wound. But this is where the true challenge and benefit of mudita lie. Practicing it during difficult times has the potential to elevate your mental state and release you from the trap of jealousy. Start small. Next time you feel that pang of envy, catch yourself. Instead of letting it grow, pause and take a moment to wish that person happiness and success. Repeat this process, and over time, you'll find that it becomes more natural. Remember, the practice of mudita isn't just about others, it's about you too. It transforms your mindset and brings you closer to a sense of inner peace. The ripple effect of positive energy. The energy you send out into the world has a ripple effect. When you practice mudita and radiate positive energy towards others, it doesn't just stop with you. You're contributing to a more joyful, compassionate world. When we let go of jealousy and embrace joy for others, we uplift not only ourselves, but also those around us. Think of it like this. If everyone embraced mudita, the world would be filled with more understanding, less competition, and fewer feelings of inadequacy. This doesn't mean we stop striving for personal success. Rather, it means we celebrate everyone's journey, including our own. A path to lasting happiness. So, what's the lesson here? The biggest cause of your unhappiness may be that subtle comparison to others that creeps into your daily life. But by practicing mudita, you can turn that around. Jealousy and envy may seem like natural emotions, but they are ultimately self-defeating. The Buddha's wisdom teaches us that by finding joy in the happiness of others, we can create a more peaceful, joyful existence for ourselves. If you take one thing away from this, let it be this. Practice mudita. Every time you see someone thriving, whether it's in person or online, consciously choose to wish them well. You'll notice a profound shift in your own happiness. Remember, success isn't a limited resource. There's enough for everyone. The more joy you cultivate for others, the more joy you'll invite into your own life. Welcome. In today's discussion, we dive into the profound teachings of the Buddha to uncover actionable insights for developing mental strength. If you have ever felt overwhelmed by criticism, hurt by negativity, or struggled to bounce back from challenges, this video is for you. The central focus of today's video revolves around building a strong mindset, a concept deeply rooted in Buddhist philosophy. In a world that constantly tests our emotional resilience, these ancient teachings are as relevant as ever. To begin, let's reflect on a powerful saying from the Buddha. As a rock remains unmoved by the storm, so does the wise remain unshaken by praise or blame. This vivid metaphor perfectly illustrates the essence of mental strength. Just as a rock endures relentless winds without faltering, a strong mindset remains unaffected by life's highs and lows. But how can we cultivate such unshakable inner strength? Through 3 transformative tips that are simple to understand, yet challenging to practice, we can begin to harness a mindset that is impervious to life's turbulence. Let's delve into each of these tips in detail. But before we get to that, ask yourself, when was the last time you felt destabilized by an unexpected comment or a sudden challenge? If it's a recent experience, these insights will resonate deeply with you. Tip 1. Maintaining a stable mindset amidst life's ups and downs. One of the core principles of a strong mind is stability, especially when confronted with life's unpredictability. The Buddha identified what he called the 8 worldly conditions: praise and blame, gain and loss, fame and disgrace, and pleasure and pain. These are inevitable fluctuations that everyone experiences. Yet, only a few can navigate these waves without being emotionally tossed around. So, how do we achieve this? Understanding the nature of life's fluctuations. Imagine life as an ocean. Sometimes the water is calm and tranquil, mirroring periods of peace and contentment. At other times, storms rage, representing difficulties and emotional turmoil. A strong mind is like a steady ship that navigates these changing conditions with poise. Knowing that these fluctuations are part of life helps reduce the shock when they arise. When faced with criticism or loss, remind yourself that this too shall pass. Mindfulness as a tool for stability. Stability does not mean never experiencing emotions. It means not being swept away by them. Mindfulness, a cornerstone of Buddhist practice, is key here. By observing your thoughts and emotions without reacting impulsively, you gain control over your mind. For instance, if someone criticizes you, instead of reacting defensively, take a deep breath and notice the emotions that arise. Recognize them, but don't act on them. This simple practice can dramatically increase your emotional stability. Acceptance of impermanence. Everything in life is impermanent. Understanding this principle can be liberating. When we realize that both good and bad times are transient, it becomes easier to stay grounded. Consider how you felt during a time of happiness. Did it last forever? Just as joy is fleeting, so is pain. This acceptance makes it easier to ride out the storms of life without being overwhelmed. Learning to stay calm. Amidst criticism. Years ago, I struggled with the opinions of others. I would constantly seek validation, and a single negative comment would ruin my entire day. It wasn't until I started practicing mindfulness and embracing the concept of impermanence that I found peace. Now, when someone criticizes me, I pause and reflect. This is just a moment. It will pass. This perspective shift has been transformative. Tip 2. Building resilience by understanding. What's in your control resilience, the ability to bounce back from setbacks, is another hallmark of mental strength. However, resilience is not about being immune to pain. It's about recovering quickly. A key aspect of resilience is understanding what is within your control and what is not. Distinguishing between control and influence. Let's break this down. Imagine you are in a situation where someone spreads false rumors about you. Their actions and words are beyond your control. However, your response to those rumors is within your control. You can either choose to confront them calmly or ignore them entirely. Recognizing this distinction is powerful because it prevents wasted emotional energy on things you cannot change. Embracing personal responsibility. While it's easy to blame external circumstances, true resilience comes from taking responsibility for what you can control: your thoughts, actions, and attitudes. If you approach a problem with a mindset of, "What can I do?" rather than, "Why is this happening to me?" you immediately shift from victimhood to empowerment. the power of choice. The concept of choice is fundamental to building resilience. Even when external events seem overwhelming, your inner world, your thoughts and responses, remains within your domain. The Buddha taught that suffering arises not from external events, but from our reaction to them. If someone insults you, you can choose to feel hurt, or you can choose to let it go. This internal locus of control is what makes the mind resilient. Facing professional rejections. Early in my career, I faced multiple job rejections. Each no felt like a personal failure. But over time, I realized that the rejection letters were outside my control. What was within my control was improving my skills and persevering. By focusing on what I could change, I eventually landed a role that was a perfect fit. Had I continued fixating on the rejections, I would have given up long ago. Tip 3. Practicing self-love and self-compassion. The final tip is perhaps the most profound: cultivating a mindset of self-love and compassion. A strong mind is not just resilient and stable, it is also kind to oneself. Self-compassion means treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a friend going through a tough time. Releasing negativity. Imagine carrying a heavy bag filled with negative comments, past mistakes, and self-criticism. Each day, the weight increases until it becomes unbearable. Self-love involves putting that bag down and refusing to add any more weight to it. When others try to pass you their negativity, respond with compassion for yourself. I'm not going to carry this burden. Morning affirmations as a practice. Start each day by affirming your self-worth. Say to yourself, no matter what happens today, I am going to love myself. I will not allow negativity to take root in my mind. This simple practice, repeated consistently, builds an unshakable sense of inner strength. Remember, the mind is like a garden. If you water it with positivity, it will bloom. The practice of letting go. Letting go is an act of self-compassion. Whether it's letting go of resentment, anger, or self-doubt, releasing these emotions frees up mental space. One effective technique is to visualize a trash bin. Each morning, picture yourself emptying the bin of negative thoughts, making room for positivity and love. Overcoming self-doubt. For a long time, I struggled with self-doubt. I would second-guess myself, replay conversations, and dwell on past mistakes. But one morning, I started a new practice. I wrote down everything I liked about myself. At first, it was challenging, but over time, the list grew. This small act of self-love changed my internal dialogue. Now, when doubt arises, I remind myself of those affirmations. The path to mental strength. In summary, building mental strength is not a one-time effort. It's a continuous practice. The 3 tips we explored today: maintaining stability amidst life's fluctuations, building resilience by focusing on what's within your control, and practicing self-love, are all powerful tools. However, the journey doesn't end here. Cultivating a strong mindset requires daily commitment. By integrating these teachings into your life, you can develop a mind that, like a rock in a storm, remains unshaken by praise or blame. Thank you for watching, and may you find the strength, peace, and happiness that come from a truly resilient mind.